All right, so we need to unpack this whole SMCI situation. Listeners have been asking for a deep dive on their stock price. It's been on a roller coaster ride.
It really has.
Yeah, from a high of $1,200 a share
Yeah.
all the way down to $400.
Oh, wow.
And we're going to break it down for you guys. We've got articles like name of article removed to avoid making claims of having specific information to really get into the weeds of this DOJ investigation.
Yeah, and I think what's important to understand from the outset is that SMCI's story is really the story of the AI boom
Okay.
and potentially the bust, because they're supplying a lot of the technology behind the tools that everyone's talking about, even, yes, ChatGPT. But their stock is weirdly tied to NVIDIA's performance.
Okay, so someone's hearing this, they're seeing these headlines about AI, they're seeing SMCI mentioned, but they don't get that NVIDIA connection. So connect those dots for us.
Okay, so think of it this way. NVIDIA is kind of like the engine driving the AI hype train right now. And SMCI was riding in like a luxurious first-class cabin. So as NVIDIA's stock soared on all of their AI advancements, SMCI got caught in that updraft.
Okay.
Which explains the meteoric rise initially.
Right.
But here's the catch. When there's even a whiff of a market correction like we're seeing now, those gains can evaporate just as quickly.
So it's like SMCI is on this bungee cord attached to NVIDIA, but someone just cut the cord at the highest point.
That's one way to put it. To make matters worse, for SMCI at least, there's another weight dragging them down. And this one is a big one. We're talking about the Department of Justice investigation.
Right. This is the elephant or maybe the bear in the room that we cannot ignore. From what I understand, the DOJ is looking into some shady financial dealings.
Yeah. Basically, there are allegations of accounting irregularities.
Okay.
Which essentially means that there are concerns about how SMCI has been managing its books, potentially manipulating their financial records to appear more profitable.
Right.
Than they actually are.
And then there's this issue of these undisclosed related party transactions, which, I mean, it just sounds incredibly complex. What does that actually mean in the context of SMCI?
Okay, so imagine this. SMCI needs a critical component for its AI chips. Instead of shopping around and getting the best price from various suppliers, they decide to award this massive contract to a company owned by, say, a family member of a high-ranking SMCI executive. And to make matters worse, they don't disclose this relationship to investors. This is obviously a very, very simplified example, but it highlights the kind of situation that raises red flags about transparency and potential conflicts of interest.
Especially when these allegations are coming from a former employee, right? That adds a whole other layer to this story.
Having, a whistleblower, so to speak, adds fuel to the fire. And investors get very nervous when someone on the inside is alleging this kind of misconduct. But we have to be careful here. Right? The investigation is still in its early stages. No charges have been filed yet.
But, and this feels like a huge but, SMCI has already hit the pause button on their financial reports, citing internal control reviews.
Yeah.
That has to be making investors even more uneasy. Of course, yeah. It's like they're yelling fire in a crowded theater, and then they're also locking the fire exits.
Right.
Investors are going to be left wondering, what are they trying to hide? That lack of transparency on top of the allegations that are already out there is a major reason for this freefall.
Yeah, absolutely. So with this investigation looming and the market already a little bit on edge, what does the future hold for SMCI? Are they going to be able to climb out of this hole, or is this the beginning of the end?
I mean, let's consider the possibilities. Worst case scenario, right? The DOJ investigation finds SMCI guilty of serious financial misconduct. We're talking potentially hefty fines, lawsuits from investors, and an even further decline in stock value. Potentially irreversible.
Okay, so definitely not the rebound story that investors are looking for.
But let's play devil's advocate here for a second. What if they're cleared of all the allegations? Could this be a phoenix rising from the ashes type of moment?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's no easy answer. If they come out clean on the other side, there's definitely the potential for a pretty significant rebound. And remember, the underlying technology here, that AI wave they're riding, hasn't gone away.
Right.
In fact, if that sector continues to grow the way a lot of people are predicting it will, SMCI could recapture some of its former glory. It really is a classic high-risk, high-reward scenario.
High risk is an understatement, I feel like, at this point. This is high-stakes poker, and some investors out there might be tempted to go all in while the price is low.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone considering that right now?
I would say this. If you're new to investing, if you're a little bit risk-averse, SMCI is probably one to watch from the sidelines for now. Let this storm pass. See how the investigation unfolds. Get a clearer picture of their financial health before you even think about putting your money in.
It's kind of like watching a really seasoned surfer tackle, like a massive wave.
Yeah.
It's amazing to watch, but you don't jump in unless you have the experience and the risk appetite for that kind of, situation.
Exactly. And for those experienced investors out there who, they understand volatility, they're comfortable with high-risk plays, this could be a strategic opportunity. But it requires really careful timing, in-depth analysis. You really got to have stomach of steel for this.
Right. So we've covered the highs, we've covered the lows, we've covered these investigations, this allure of AI. Let's bring it back down to earth for a moment.
Sure.
What are the key takeaways here for someone listening to us talk right now? What's the so what of the SMCI story?
I think the SMCI situation is a stark reminder that even in a tech boom, where hype often drowns out common sense, those solid company fundamentals still really, really matter.
Okay.
A lot.
Yeah.
Don't let the flashy headlines and the promise of quick riches cloud your judgment.
Right.
Due diligence is absolutely critical. Look beyond the buzzwords. Dig into those financial reports, ask those really difficult questions, and really understand the company's financial health and their management practices.
It's easy to get caught up in the shiny new toy aspect of all of this,
For sure.
especially with AI. Like you said, it feels like every single day there's something new and groundbreaking.
Right. And that's what makes the SMCI situation such a valuable case study.
Mhm.
It forces us to step back and ask, are we putting too much faith in market sentiment, in the hype, rather than the underlying fundamentals?
Right.
And I think that's really critical in fields like AI, where the technology is complex, the future's uncertain, and the lines between the hype and reality can get, well, pretty blurry.
Absolutely. So even if they weather this storm, even if they come out on the other side, like we've exposed this vulnerability, and not just with them, but with other companies who are, riding similar waves
Yeah, for sure.
of hype and speculation.
Absolutely. It's a cautionary tale, I think, for investors.
Yeah.
Don't let flashy headlines or big predictions in the news dictate your investment decisions.
Yeah.
Really look beyond the buzzwords. Dig into those financial reports. Ask those tough questions and make sure your risk tolerance aligns with your investment choices.
Words of wisdom to live by in the world of investing.
Absolutely.
Knowledge is power. The more you know, the better equipped you are to make these decisions. So thank you for breaking it all down for us.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure.
This has been another deep dive. Thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you next time.